Picture this. You're packed, you're finally at the airport, and you think you've got this. But guess what? The TSA just changed the rules of the game for 2025. That laptop you always pull out? You might not have to anymore. That driver's license you've used for years? It could get you turned away at the security gate. The TSA is rolling out its biggest security overhaul in years, and what you don't know will slow you down. Today, we're breaking down every major change you need to know to fly like a pro. For years, we've all learned the airport security shuffle. Shoes off, laptops out, liquids in a tiny bag. It's a stressful, but familiar, dance. But what if I told you that nearly every step of that dance is changing? The government and the TSA have been quietly rolling out a wave of new tech and procedures across the country. And these aren't small tweaks. They're the biggest shift in airport security since the post-9/11 era. The problem is, these changes are happening at different speeds in different airports. What works in Atlanta might get you a full bag search in Denver. This inconsistency is creating a ton of confusion for travelers who just want to get to their gate on time. You might have heard whispers, a friend who kept their shoes on, or an article you skimmed about new scanners. But whispers won't help you when you're facing a stern TSA agent and a line of impatient travelers behind you. This isn't about scaring you, it's about preparing you. Because in 2025, knowledge is the key to a smooth, stress-free trip. We're going to cut through the confusion and give you a clear, actionable guide to the new world of airport security. We'll cover the tech, the new rules, and the old rules now being enforced with zero tolerance. Let's jump into the first and most critical change that will affect every single domestic traveler. Let's start with the one change with a hard, unmovable deadline: Real ID. After years of delays, the enforcement date is finally happening. Starting May 7, 2025, every domestic air traveler 18 and older must show a Real ID-compliant driver's license or another acceptable ID to get through a TSA security checkpoint. Your standard old-school driver's license will no longer be enough to get you on a domestic flight. So what exactly is a Real ID? Passed by Congress way back in 2005, the Real ID Act set minimum security standards for state-issued driver's licenses and ID cards. You can spot a Real ID by the star emblem, usually in the upper right corner. This star might be gold, black, or even a cutout. Some states like Washington, Michigan, and New York issue enhanced driver's licenses, EDLs, which are also Real ID compliant and work for crossing land and sea borders with Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. What happens if you show up on May 8, 2025 with your old license? To put it bluntly, you won't be allowed through the security checkpoint. TSA has been firm that travelers without a compliant ID will be turned away, which could mean missing your flight. This isn't a suggestion, it's a federal law. Now, if you don't have a Real ID, don't panic. You have other options. A valid US passport or passport card is your best bet. In fact, a passport card is a fantastic, wallet-sized alternative that's fully compliant for domestic flights. Other accepted IDs include a DHS Trusted Traveler Card, like Global Entry, a U.S. military ID, or a permanent resident card. But for the millions of Americans who rely only on their driver's license, this change is huge. My advice is simple: don't wait. DMVs are swamped. Getting a Real ID usually requires more paperwork than a standard renewal, like proof of identity, social security number, and 2 proofs of residency. Check your state's DMV website now, get your documents together, and book an appointment. Taking care of this early will save you a massive headache. For almost 2 decades, the awkward ritual of taking off your shoes and sending them through an X-ray scanner has been a part of American travel. Well, in a major shift, that era is finally starting to close. In July 2025, Homeland Security announced a new policy that allows passengers at domestic airports to keep their shoes on during security screening. But here's the critical thing to understand. This is a phased rollout, not an overnight switch for every single airport. While the goal is to bring this convenience to all U.S. airports, the new shoes-on policy depends on new scanning technology. For now, this privilege is no longer just for TSA pre-check members, kids, or seniors. The old rule was introduced back in 2006, 5 years after the failed shoe bomber attempt. So what does this mean for you in 2025? It means your default move should be to keep your shoes on. Many travelers have already been surprised, and even gently scolded by TSA agents for instinctively taking their shoes off. This change is expected to speed up wait times and make the whole process a lot less clumsy. However, there's a huge caveat. You might still be asked to remove your shoes if you set off an alarm. If the body scanner or metal detector flags something, maybe because of metal shanks in your boots or other bulky footwear, you'll be pulled aside for extra screening, and that will include taking off your shoes. The bottom line, walk up to the scanner with your shoes on, but always listen to the TSA officers. They have the final say. If they tell you to take them off, do it. If you're finding these updates helpful for your future travels, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe. We're always tracking these changes to make sure you're prepared. Your support helps us keep making guides like this one. Now, let's talk about the tech that's making all these new rules possible. The single biggest tech upgrade happening at TSA checkpoints is the rollout of computed tomography, or CT scanners. These are the futuristic machines replacing the old 2D X-ray tunnels. Instead of a flat picture, CT scanners create a detailed 360-degree 3D image of your carry-on, allowing agents to digitally inspect your bag's contents with incredible accuracy. For you, this technology is a game changer. At checkpoints with these new CT scanners, you often no longer need to remove large electronics from your bag. That's right, laptops, tablets, and Kindles can stay tucked away. This gets rid of one of the biggest log jams in the security line. Even better, at airports fully equipped with this tech, the rules around liquids are starting to loosen. CT scanners can analyze liquids, making it possible for security to clear them without you taking them out of your bag. We'll get more into the specifics on liquids next, but this technology is the key. However, and this is a huge point of confusion for 2025, the rollout isn't complete. While major hubs like Atlanta, LAX, and JFK have CT scanners, many smaller airports and some terminals at bigger ones still use the old machines. This creates a patchwork system where the rules can literally change from one flight to the next. Here's your game plan. First, look for signs. Airports with CT scanners will have signs telling you to leave laptops and approved liquids in your bag. If you don't see them, assume the old rules apply. Second, listen to the agents. They are your best guide. They'll be yelling out instructions for their specific lane. If they say laptops out, then take them out. Third, when in doubt, take it out. If you're unsure, it's always quicker to just take your electronics and liquids out. Getting your bag flagged for a manual search is a guaranteed way to slow yourself down. The CT scanner revolution is making security smarter, but for now, we're in a transition phase. Be observant and ready to adapt. For years, the 311 liquid rule has been a pain. 3.4 ounces, 100 ml per container, in a 1-quart bag, 1 bag per person. In 2025, we're in a weird middle ground. For airports without new CT scanners, the enforcement of this rule has become incredibly strict. For those with the new tech, there are important new exemptions. First, let's talk about the old-school checkpoints. At airports with traditional X-ray scanners, TSA is enforcing the 311 rule with zero wiggle room. If your bottle is a little too big or your liquids don't fit perfectly in the bag, they'll be confiscated. This crackdown is meant to speed up the lines at airports with older equipment, so if you're flying out of a smaller airport, follow that rule perfectly. On the other hand, at the growing number of airports with CT scanners, things are different. The technology's ability to analyze liquids has led the TSA to officially allow certain items in quantities larger than 3.4 ounces. Key exemptions include medically necessary liquids. This includes prescription medications, over-the-counter medicines like cough syrup, eye drops, and saline solution, baby and toddler supplies, breast milk, baby formula, toddler drinks, and baby food in reasonable quantities are exempt from the limit. Medical ice packs, gel packs needed to keep medications cool are allowed. Duty-free liquids. Alcohol or perfume bought at a duty-free shop is fine, as long as it stays in the sealed, tamper-evident bag from the store. Even with these exemptions, you must declare these items. Separate them from your other belongings and tell the TSA officer you have them. They may need to be screened separately. For the most up-to-date information, it is always best to check the official TSA website before you fly. My advice for 2025: pack your regular toiletries according to the strict 311 rule. If you're traveling with exempt items, pack them where they're easy to access and be ready to declare them. It's not just your bags getting a high-tech upgrade, it's you. The TSA is rapidly expanding the use of facial recognition at checkpoints, with the tech now deployed at over 250 U.S. airports. Here's how it works. You'll approach the podium, insert your real ID or passport, and look at a camera. The system compares your live photo to the one on your ID. In some advanced lanes, you may not even need to show an ID at all. This technology is designed to be faster and more accurate than human verification. The TSA is also starting to accept digital IDs stored in your Apple or Google Wallet at a growing number of airports. This is a great backup if you happen to lose your physical ID while traveling, but this technology comes with major privacy concerns. Lawmakers and civil liberties groups have raised questions about how this biometric data is used and stored. In response, the TSA says the photos are not stored and that participation is voluntary. This brings up a critical point. You can opt out. If you don't want your face scanned, you can tell the TSA officer you'd prefer a manual ID check. They will verify your ID the old-fashioned way without penalizing you. However, critics argue this opt-out process isn't always clearly communicated. In 2025, expect to see this technology. If you want speed, it's a breeze. If you have privacy concerns, know your rights, and don't be afraid to use them. Beyond the big headlines, a few other rules are tripping up even seasoned travelers. First, powders. For a few years, the TSA has had a rule that powders in containers larger than 12 ounces, about the size of a soda can, may need extra screening. This is now being enforced more consistently. This includes things like protein powder, ground coffee, and spices. If you have a large container of powder, take it out of your bag and put it in a separate bin. My advice: put it in your check bag or pack less than 12 ounces in your carry-on. Next, medications. We covered liquid exemptions, but what about pills? For domestic travel, the TSA doesn't require you to keep pills in their original prescription bottles. A pill organizer is fine. However, for international travel, it is critical to keep them in their original labeled containers and carry a copy of your prescription. Rules vary widely by country, so always check the regulations for your specific destination. And always keep essential medication in your carry-on, never in a checked bag. Finally, a word of warning on smart luggage. Those high-tech bags with built-in chargers are cool, but they come with a strict rule. If the lithium-ion battery is not removable, the bag isn't allowed on the plane. This is a serious fire safety issue. You must be able to pop the battery out without tools and carry it with you into the cabin. If you can't, you'll be forced to leave your expensive bag behind. Paying attention to these smaller details is just as important as knowing the big changes. So, let's do a quick recap of what you need to know for flying in 2025. First, get your real ID. Before May 7, 2025, make sure you have a compliant ID or a valid passport for domestic flights. Second, keep your shoes on, probably. The shoe removal rule is ending, but it's a gradual rollout. Keep them on unless a TSA agent tells you otherwise. Third, look for the new scanners. If you're at a checkpoint with CT scanners, you can likely leave laptops and approved liquids inside your bag. Look for the signs. Fourth, know the liquid rules. The 311 rule is strictly enforced at airports with older tech. Know the exemptions, like medications and baby formula, and be ready to declare them. Fifth, prepare for face scans. Expect to see biometric screening, but remember you have the right to opt out. Sixth, mind the details. Keep powders under 12 ounces, pack medications smartly, especially for international trips, and make sure your smart bag's battery is removable. The world of airport security is changing fast. This new tech is meant to make travel safer and faster, but we're in a messy transition period. Being informed is your best defense against stress and delays. What have you experienced with these new rules? Have you used a CT scanner lane or the new facial recognition systems? Share your stories and tips in the comments below. Your experience can help everyone in this community. Thanks for watching. If this guide helped you get ready for your next trip, give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe for more essential travel updates. Fly safe and fly smart.